Actually, you know up to be like 4 weeks ahead of my class, right?
Actually, I'm
She hasn't opened the textbook.
Yeah, yes, that's it.
So I decided to move up the midterm. Just kidding.
actually my class is not centered, so I can't. But I do.
Are we ready? Um, Making decisions. It's a great day for VBA. It's a great day to do VBA. Let's do this. Who's ready? Who's ready to take their lives to the next level? Are you? All right. All right. JC is ready. JC's feeling it. Elijah, he's in the back of the room. He's kind of like on his own, whatever. Ryan's like second row, ready to go. He's he's set. Jackson's been here for a couple of hours. I don't know how long you been here. Oh, nice. Nice. What a goat. What a goat. Good for you, Jackson. Good job. The man with
Yeah, you could either have time, no money, or money and no debt. I had time.
yeah. It could be worse, maybe. Well, one of the things I wanted to talk about today is the midterm exam. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. Can you cheat on it, please?
Please.
Please. He says please. He says please. This is as much cheat as you get right here. Study guide. That's basically cheating. I'm no, I'm telling you what's on the test, like before you take it. Good question. Let's talk about that.
The actual projection of myself taking.
Carson, good timing. We're about to say a prayer. Will you say a prayer for us?
Yeah.
That'd be great. Carson's going to pray for us, and then we'll talk more about the midterm. Okay, great.
Dear Father in heaven, we are grateful to be here today again for the chapter. And with blessings of this university that's all around us, we're grateful for the time we have once we can enjoy life and to study more into the closer to the innocent Son to go into the Son. Bless us to always be ready and willing to get ready and ready to participate each week. We love you, Father. We ask that by and through the Spirit today we can learn the principles of BBA and the principles of supply chain that will bless us to better our lives and other us.
Amen. Thank you very much. Very good. Okay, there's some question about the midterm. So here is the skinny on the midterm. If I go to where to go? Let me pull up the midterm. I don't think you can see this yet because it's not opened, but I just want to show you the details of it and how to prepare, right? We'll take the midterm in class on the 29th. Okay, it's 3 weeks from today. 41 questions.
The midterm is so is it like a final?
It's like a 3/4 term.
Is it like a final? First, we have a final.
One of the projects will be a final, so we don't have a final. Yeah, we have a project final.
This is.
That's right. This is the only exam.
Okay.
This is 100 points.
Well, how much are all the projects? Like, is that, I need to look at this.
Yeah, you need to look at that. Some of the projects, let's look real quick. Project Fallen Angel is, oh gosh, what was the points? I want to say that was 40 points. That's right, it was 40 points. Another project coming up is the ISBN validator. The stuff that we're going to do today is going to be very useful for this ISBN project. I'm going to say another 30, 40 on that one. User forms, probably another 40 on that one. This one, project database modification, is 50 points. And that's a little bit of a big one. That's a little bit of a heavy lift is this project at the end. So you need to start that sooner than later. Like, don't wait for the last. Yeah, but this time it's true, right? This time it's true. So what's the totals there, Ryan? What do we count? 50 plus 40 plus 40 plus 40. I missed this one. 3 40s and a 50. How much is that? 170. And then the midterm is 100. It's
Probably get by. I could probably get by. If I did like everything else 100% too. Because let's think about it like this way. I'll at least get like one thing right on the midterm. Surely. You're out of 100.
surely,
I'll give it a shot.
surely.
That's really good.
Okay, but Ryan, before you make this decision, let me sell you this, okay?
Yeah.
Let me show you this midterm exam study guide 1 and 2, just briefly,
Okay.
before you make your final decision, okay?
Give me the elevator.
Here we go. If you click on this midterm study guide, let me just show you what, so by the way, these 41 questions, there's like, it's more than just 3 or 4 options per question. In many cases, it's like A through H.
Multiple choice, but there's like 8 multiple.
That's it. That's it. Okay, so here's an example, Ryan, right here. In the following code segment, what does font refer to? Here's the code segment.
Range.
Let's see what it says. Is the font an object, a property, a method, an event, a collection? Both an object and a property, both a project and a method, or property and a method, both an object and a method. Which one do you think it is?
The method thing that's here.
JC says B, a property. What would font be a property of? The range, A1. Yeah, cell, right? Yeah, range. So a range property is a font. Nice, that's it.
So a property is pretty much anything to the left.
Like this is a property of this object.
Yes, so like what if so like the identified cell, right? In one.
Yep.
Anything to the left of that is pretty much, or anything to the right.
Yeah, I was gonna say your left is throwing me off. Correct. Yeah. Right is the smaller object. It could be property or method, right? In fact, this range A1 is a property of the sheet, right? So there's a property of the sheet and the property of the cell object is font. Yeah. And this bold is actually a property of font. Yeah. Yeah, very good.
Would be a method of.
True is like a parameter of bold.
Not an object. Even though even though I have a property.
Yes, very good. It turns out that I would accept in this case probably it's not most indicative of the midterm because there's probably 2 correct answers here. In one case, it is a property B, but you could also argue it's both an object and a property because there's a property that follows it, right? So this one is more learning than real actual question, but this is the type of question. You're gonna have some code. and it's going to say, what does this mean? Or after this code is run, what's the value of X, for example? What was your question, Carson?
Just now that we've done some coding and stuff like that, could you re-explain objects and properties when it comes to that?
Yeah. What are the two characteristics of an object? Method and property. Very good. What's a property? Describes. Yeah. Just what's a method? An action, something you can do with it. Yeah, that's right. Very cool. Does that help, Carson? Okay, good. Good. Okay, great. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the whole thing. The whole thing.
No, it's an event, but that's a party right there.
Okay, here's another question. Let's see if you can read this. In fact, we're going to do some stuff about if statements today, I guess we just did that last time. Here's another question example. Consider the following code segment sub proc 1 dim x as integer. X is equal to 5. Range A1 value this test is. If x is equal to 5, then there's some code here. Range A1.value is equal to range A1.value and ugly. What does that do? That concatenates. This is a test because that's A1 value, right? So we're saying this test is and ugly, right? Then say x is equal to x plus 5. Else if x is equal to 10, then take A1 value and add mean to the end of it. Else take A1 value and add fun. End if sub. After this sub runs, the value shown in range A1 will be, what will it be? Anybody know?
There's no saying what is the add part?
Right, so it's concatenating this part with this value, whatever's in A1 right now, plus this. Yeah.
So is the value of question A1, sub A1 5?
Good question, is it? Is it? Anybody? Okay, raise your hand if you think it's A. Raise your hand if you think it's B. C. I've got a couple of C's. D. E. One E. Cannot be determined by code given. The correct answer is C. Because they're evaluating X here. X is 5, but the range A1.value is set right here. This is a test. So when this line is run, it's going to take this test is and stick it into A1. Right? Because we're setting the value there. So X is 5, which it is. X gets 5 here. This is true. So then it runs these two lines of code, and then it skips all the others, all the other ifs and else. It goes to the end if and ends the sub. That's right. So even though this is run here, it's changed to 10 here, but it doesn't run the other else ifs because it evaluated first up here. So it skips all these lines down here. Does that make sense? A little bit weird, but you have to catch that, oh yeah, it's 10 here, but that's fine. That's inside of this first if option. And so it just doesn't run this down here because this is already true, right?
So what would be the negation of the cell?
Right here. Here's the cell value.
So just say this test is.
That's right.
But then I guess I'm confused how.
Because X was equal to 5. Okay, walk me through this. This is X is 5. Does it have anything to do with the cell? No, you're right. It doesn't, right? We created a variable here. It's an integer. We know it's an integer. This is where we set that variable, but it doesn't even show up on the sheet at all, right? There's no X, there's no 5, like at all on the sheet, right? And then it gets this line. It's like, oh, you want me to put this text into cell A1. That's what that's saying. So put these 3 words into A1. That's what this line is saying. Does that make sense? Now we have this test is in A1, and that's all we have. then it's saying if X is equal to 5, is X equal to 5 right now? Yeah, it is. So this evaluates to true. If this is true, then do everything in between this then statement and the next else if, run this code. After you run this code, you skip all of this code to the end if, because we already know that X is true. X is equal to 5 is true. So we're skipping all this, right? The else, this part over here is really connected to whether or not X is equal to 5. If X wasn't 5 at this moment, then it would skip down here, would not run these cells, and it would say, wait, if X is 10, then do this. But if X is not 5, and if X is not 10, then it would do this.
So if it was like 6, it
Exactly. That's exactly right.
would.
That's right. And that's just the way this code was written. So another question after this, like the final exam would, or the midterm exam would also ask another question after this. It would be, what is the value of X at the end of this code? What would be the value of X? Sorry? X is equal to 10. That's right, because this actually ran, because this was true. So X is equal to 5 plus 5, which is 10. So by the end of the sub, X would be 10. That would be another example of a follow-on question to this. Please.
Um, when do we use
Yeah, good question. In this case, it's asking very specific question. If X is 5, else if it's 10, else if it's 10 specifically, then do this. If it's anything else, do this.
we have two options instead of else, and we have anything more, all the middle options going to be else's.
Okay,
Yeah.
makes it specific to something.
Right.
Else just says, if it's not me.
Right. Yeah, that's right. And yeah, see, this is not that bad, right? It's not that bad, Ryan.
Yeah.
See, Ryan gets it. That's great. Okay, the first study guide is a list of concepts that you should know. What is a collection? How do you refer to a range object? There's different ways to refer to a cell, right? Or a range. Lots of concepts, mostly through the whole book. This is a great way to look at conceptually if you understanding these concepts, right? That is the purpose of study exam 1, study guide 1. Exam study guide 2 it's got more code in it. So I ran this one semester with just study guide 1. I don't know what that is. And there was a lot of questions about, wait a minute, I still need some help on the coding part. So I wrote study exam guide 2, which gets to some more coding specific. Here is some data types that we talked about. Here is some address methods that we've talked about. We've talked about a number of these. Here's the offset method. We've talked about that briefly. And some of this we haven't talked about yet because we're still 3 weeks out. We'll talk about some of this today, common string functions. We've done do loops. So we've done some of this, we haven't done some of this. But this is the second study guide and some ideas. Read carefully, follow the code line by line, watch for exit statements, loop conditions, string operations. Remember final values after loops complete, not intermediate values. We talked about that, right? How the for loop works is it increments every time and it goes to the last time the increment has incremented, right? Our counter has increased and then it exits the loop, but the counter is still one higher, right, than what our loop is. So some details like that, I think you guys got it. Okay, questions, comments on the midterm exam, 3/4 term exam.
Cool if I uploaded this to Claude, have it like flashcards.
Totally cool. Totally okay with that. That'd be great. But this is closed book, closed note, closed AI. No Excel, right? It's all very just you and the test. We talked about that. What did we decide?
You said it class, but I thought it was legit.
I feel like we talked about that before. We were talking about proctorial, right? Yeah, I
I
think,
don't know if you want, in my opinion, I feel like I would like to keep class time for like class stuff. And then maybe have until midnight to do the exam, so maybe like the day leading up to the exam, we spend like 30 minutes in class just going over like anything.
reviewing. I like that. We could do a little bit of review.
You know, we have until like midnight that night with all.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's reasonable. I think that's great. Um, yeah, I've got this due that night, Monday, 11:59. So that's set up for that. Okay, great. Any other questions? Yeah, good question. So if you remember, I think the beginning of the class, we set our syllabus grade weights, and part of that was, oh gosh, it's not here. Um, peer evaluation. What happened to our peer evaluation grade? Didn't we set that up? Oh, we didn't set any grade weights in this class? I forgot.
No,
So the exam should be 5%. 5. Hey,
I mean, I'm cool.
good, Chapman. We love you. We love you.
I totally forgot about that.
Isn't that serious? Can't we just like, you know, like democracy? Like we voted on how much we wanted the exam to count for. All in favor? Five. What is
That's democracy.
Five.
Wow. I think I'm really getting old. I just forget stuff so easily.
Like great talk going.
That's why I had to have a break.
Here's my thought right now. So the way I've given this course before in previous semesters, where we didn't have the few weeks of Maria and her business, this would just be no peer evaluation, just straight points, right? Across the board. With the Maria material, those are some pretty good points if you think about it, right?
Do we still
I
have?
mean, I don't want to pull up the grades page because I don't want to show everybody's grades off to the whole class. But there's points there from the first 3 weeks of class that I am going to include, right, into these point structures. But what I'm reminding of what I'm being reminded of here is that there is no need for a peer evaluation. The way we structured the class originally, we were doing more things in teams. From VBA on out, it's less teams and more. I mean, you can help each other in class, but there's not really teams.
So like, I think we run it. You know?
What
We just give each other a high five.
do you call that? Participation?
Yeah. Participation trophy.
Participation trophy. You know, it's probably more a function of attendance, kind of. It would be a proxy for if you're here in class, then your teammates give you something.
Yeah. Just make it 10 minutes or somewhere.
I'm okay with that. You guys want to do that? Not that. I'm okay with a few points for a peer evaluation score, if that's helpful.
Yeah.
Ryan thinks that's helpful. Maybe not 50, maybe 25 max, maybe 10.
Like extra. 30.
Yeah, we should go 15. The more I think about it, we should go lower.
20. 22. With 5% interest every quarter.
That 170.
Let me just add it in here so I don't forget. So let's do this. Let's add besides homework and projects, let's come down here and I will add peer evaluation. And let's see, what's my scale here? Right. Let's do a heading 3 on this. And let's do midterm peer evaluation. Let's do this for let's do a little higher. I'm okay with a little bit higher because we did some pretty good stuff at the beginning of the semester. So what if we did 20 points? Ash,
What group shop? The career, that's it. That's what Parsons.
Wait, what is extracurricular? I was about to say. The career? Oh, yeah, we haven't been doing any of that, have we?
Yeah.
oh, well, that's great. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad that your other classes. That's great. Okay, I've got midterm peer evaluation at 20, final peer evaluation at 10, and we'll add that into the class and to the total points. I like it. That sounds good. I'm glad you brought that up, Ryan.
Wait, is this like? As, what is this?
We'll just add points to the whole overall points of the class.
Oh,
Why not, Carson? Why not?
what's the, like,
Yes, just more points to get. That's it. That's all there is. That's what school's all about, Carson. It's grade and points. That's it. That's it. Not very much. If you do the math, we're talking, what did we come up with? 170 for the projects, and the midterm is 100, so that's 270. The homeworks are, how much are the homeworks worth? 10 points-ish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's another 70. What's the total? 340? 340 plus 50 for peer evaluation. That's, yeah, it's more than 10%.
10% peer. So the peer, are we like evaluating the whole class or just us?
Just the team.
And just,
Carson, what team are you on?
I mean, that's,
Macro users to see.
so. You're so lucky.
Should we put you on, should we put you on the right team?
Outside.
Dude, look at his.
After once.
Is Bud Fest or Cage Fight?
Yes.
Cage Fight. They should see.
This is the other guy.
Is it from the Red Wolf or something? Girl. That was it the cocaine.
Great, Carson, I'm gonna put you on team 3. Does that work?
Yeah, they really are.
Just to make sure.
Yeah, he turned me up that.
You know what? You're blocked. You're blocked. You talked about your band. You're sitting there. Feel like a villain, my friend. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, buddy.
Hey, people got that too.
I didn't. I had a tattoo for us.
Oh.
Yeah. Like ride or die. Dude, I had your name on my back. I don't have your name on my back.
Okay, great. We better get moving here. We got some code to do. Any other questions about the midterm exam? Okay, good. Let's move forward for today. So for today, what are we gonna do? We are gonna put together, today's June 10th. And June 8th, making decisions. Again, I feel like I keep saying this, but what we're doing in this class is we are going way beyond BA 215. We are doing loops. We're doing today a bunch of operations that allow us to do things repetitively, and if statements and logic, Boolean, operational logical operators. So we're going way beyond 215. We're pushing into automation stuff that's really cool. So download this file, books.xlsm. I'll save it on my computer. I will unblock it, and we'll be ready to go. I'm sorry? That's it. That's for today, yeah. I forgot to unblock it. Let me unblock it. It's the only thing. Okay, here we go. This is a list of books. I believe this is a list of books. This is the ISBN number here in column A. And it's how many digits? 5, 9, 13 digit ISBN. In column B, we have some weird stuff here. Anybody familiar with HTML? What is this saying? This is a italics tag. This is the kind of tag that you'd see on an HTML page where the title of the book is italicized. And then you have this author at the very end of this line. The goal here is a couple of things. We're learning how to make decisions using a combination of loops and functions. And we're going to take this text basically right off of a web page, and we're going to split this up. We're going to clean this up. We're like cleaning data using VBA. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to clean this ISBN, take out all the dashes. We're going to create a custom function. Anybody made a custom function in VBA before? We're going to do it again. We're going to do a custom function in VBA. And then we're going to clean up this column. We'll take out all the italics markings here, and we'll separate out the author, okay? So let's go to Visual Basic. I'll pull up Visual Basic. There is no module. Question? Yes, you could, but we'll see if you can't. Well, let me see. The short answer is yes, but no. There's some characters embedded in here, and I'll just save you some time, that I don't think Power BI can do. I'm just going to throw down the mic. What do you call it? I'm gonna drop my hammer. What is it? I can't remember. I can't remember how that goes. But you tell me. You tell me afterwards and see if this can do better. See if Power BI can do this better than what we're doing. That'll be interesting to find out. Okay, so I'm going to insert a module here, and I've got my option explicit. What's option explicit? This is on the midterm. Elijah knows.
Remember that's the question.
Oh, basically it means you have to define your variables explicitly before you can use them, right? So it's a good practice. I recommend it. Otherwise, you could accidentally create variables, and that creates a lot of problems. Here's what we're going to start with. Let's start with a loop. We're going to go down this list in a loop to start to clean it. So I will create a sub. Let's do, I don't know, process data, something nice and easy. Sub process data. It creates the end sub for me. Let's create a variable, dim r as long. Let's set r is equal to 1. I don't have a header row. It's just right at the first row. So I'll say r is equal to 1. We'll go ahead and assume that this is the active sheet. So I don't need to really identify the active sheet because there's only one sheet here. I'm okay with that. Let's do a do loop. Ready? A do and a loop. And let's go ahead and assume, in fact, before I forget, let me put in my do events here, just because, man, I don't know how many times that's helped me. Do until. What do we want to do until? Let's do cells, whatever the row is. So I'll use R as my row index. And let's use column 1. I'll just R comma 1 dot value, do until this value of that cell is equal to, I'm going to call it blank, double quotes with nothing in between, right? That's going to tell the loop to quit. Once I get to the cell in column A that is blank, nothing in it, which is row 96, it's going to stop the loop. Okay? So that basically sets up the loop. Anything else I need to do on my loop? Let's do one more thing. Let's increment the R. R is equal to R plus 1. So we can increment the row. And let's just do a little debug.print, see if this is working. Debug.print. Let's print out the row, R. And let's go ahead and print out the value of A. So we'll do cells R1.value. And when I run this, what do you think is going to happen? What do we expect to happen at this point? Jackson's thinking. Jackson's thinking.
But you have to do events.
Yeah, will it be an unending loop? Will it stop?
Events.
It does if I tell it to stop. Do events is like, do you need me for anything? If not, I'm going to keep running. It just pause, microsecond pause for me to pause if I tell it to pause. Otherwise, it'll keep going. Any other guesses? What's this going to do?
Stop events.
Yep, it's going to stop on row 96. So we should see all rows represented. It's going to print. Is it going to print everything from every row? Let's try it and see. Okay, debug.print. It's printed the R, which is the row 95. This looks good, 1 through 95. It's also printed the cells R1.value for each of these rows. Not bad, pretty good. Are we good? Give your neighbor a thumbs up.
How do you pull up the?
Oh yeah, immediate window, go to view, immediate window, or Control G. That works too. Francis?
Yep.
Nice. Wells? Ryan? Look at you.
The cells inside the row and column number?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, it'll show you if you like backspace the R and the 1 inside the cells notation and delete it.
Like this?
Yeah, it should come up with IntelliSense. Yeah, there it is. So there's the row index and column index. Yeah, nice. How are we doing back here?
Ash is doing what?
How you doing? Good, good. Oh, I know. For you, yeah. Yeah, we had that conversation earlier. How we doing? Nice. Nice. Okay, great. Okay, so we've got this loop. Now what do we do? Let's do a new function. So far in this class, we've done subs, right? Sub procedures. We've named them. Let's come down here underneath this sub and let's do what's called a function. And that's what it's called, function. And I'm going to name this. What am I going to name this? Let's name this numbers only function. And notice it's very similar in syntax to a sub procedure, except we're calling it a function. Now, what's interesting here is the function that we're going to create both receives data, receives information, and then spits out information. And what we're going to do here is everything inside these parentheses is saying, this is the information we're receiving. And then at the very end is the information that we're sending out after the end of the function, right? So for example, let's do data as string. And what we're doing here is we're defining a variable called data. And this data is only for the inside of this function, right? It's going to be a string data type that comes in to this function. We're expecting data to come in, some kind of information to come into this function. And then at the end of this, we're going to type as string at the very end of this and hit enter. And then it's going to type the end function for us. This as string is specifically referring to what comes out of this function. So inside the parentheses is what comes into the function in terms of data type. This is saying what goes out, what type of data goes out of this function. Please.
Sorry, is the data in the syntax is that telling the function we're sending it data, or is data just a placeholder name?
Both. So we can use data down here inside of this function, and it recognizes that, oh, you're talking about the data that came to this function.
Right, but theoretically, could that be A? Or
Yeah, it could.
umbrella, any other placeholder?
Yep, let's name it Hiram.
Another variable.
Another variable. It's exactly right. Exactly right. Capital or lowercase, Hiram?
Capital.
Okay, we'll do capital. We got it. Very good. So that's the first thing. So this function, what's interesting about this is I can return Hiram in this function, right? I can come down here inside the function and I can say, what I do is I say numbers only is equal to Hiram inside the function. Does that make sense? So I'm inside this function and I'm saying numbers only, the name of this function, right, is equal to Hiram. So now what I can do is I can come, let me see if I can shrink this over here, put this over here. I can come to Excel and I can use the numbers only function. Watch this, equals, numbers only. It even comes up when I hit equals, numbers only. And I can give it a number. Let's give it one of these numbers. What's going to happen when I hit enter on this numbers only? I'm sending it cell A95. Yes, it is. It's going to return as a string. Very good. What is it going to return? The number. That's right. We haven't done anything with it, right? It's coming in and we're spitting it out, right? And so we're going to change that in just a minute. So there it is. So we're at the beginning of creating our own function. That's
Wait,
pretty cool.
so before we type in the function thing, there won't be any numbers.
Correct. That's right. We just made a custom function in Excel. And that custom function, yeah, you could. You could put it in your personal workbook,
Yeah.
right? You know, when you save a macro, it says, where do you want to save it? You can save it to your personal workbook, and you could use that anywhere and everywhere.
Okay.
Isn't that great?
What would happen if the number only?
Yeah, good question. Let's try it. What if I take this out? There's nothing here. What happens to this function? It returns nothing. There's nothing returned. It's like there's nothing. It's blank. There's no zero. It's nothing, right? There's nothing there. So that's a good point. In order to return something, we have to have something that says numbers only is equal to something, and it will return that. Yeah, good point. Okay, great. So let's put something in this function that let's start with kind of just um, taking out the dashes from these numbers, okay? Which is pretty powerful. Let's do a couple of things here. Let's create a couple of variables. So I'm in my function here, numbers only function, and let's dim x as integer. And that'll kind of be our counter. Let's also dim something, anything, but let's call it one char for one character. And let's dim that as a string, because we're going to take this one character at a time and we're going to say, if it's not a number, get rid of it, right? That's kind of what we're going to do with this. So we're going to look at everything one character at a time. One of the things we can also do is I don't think we've done this before. We can say as a string times one. What that means is we are saying the length of that string is only one character long. That's what that times one means. So we can reduce that to just one string, which is kind of nice. That reduces some of the memory overhead that we would need. And we can do anything times one, times 10, times 100, whatever we need. We can just do one there for one character long string.
How does it know bring in the data from or separate process. Because you said we're having the hiring or data variable right there,
right?
but is that attached to anything? Again, so in our previous function, we had something.
Correct. When we call this function, we will have to send it some information up here in this process data. Yeah. Right? And we could do that like this, right? Instead of debug.print, the value of the cell, we could send this value of the cell into the numbers only function.
Say cells are the one value.
Yeah, you can do it the other way. Numbers only in parentheses, cells R1 dot value. Yep. Yep. We'll get there. We'll get there. Okay, great. So we've identified some variables here, and let's do a for loop, and we'll take the Hiram string and we'll go through this for loop one at a time. For x is equal to 1, 2. Let's do the length expression. len is asking the length. What is the length of Hiram? And then there's my next. At the end of the for loop is the next statement. So let's take however long this string is, let's do that many times, because we're going to look at every single character inside that string. So we can say one char is equal to, and we're going to use the mid function. Mid is very similar to Excel, right? We're taking something out of a string in the middle of it. Mid, which string are we going to extract from? Hiram. We're extracting from Hiram. Which character? X is going to be the name, the number of our character. So we'll start with 1, then we'll go to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, as long as that string is, right? And then how many characters do we want to extract? We just want to do 1. That's it right there. Okay, so let's test this. Let's just do a debug.print, and we'll say, tell me what X is, and tell me what one char is, just so we make sure this loop is working, right? This for loop is working, okay? And this one, let's go ahead and use, let me just take out everything but the first one here so I know what that number is. You can just copy and paste it. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to say equals, let's see, no, question mark, I think it's question mark, numbers only. And there it is. It also recognized it. So I typed in question mark numbers only, open parentheses, and it says, give me a Hiram, a string, right? It already knows it's expecting a string input. So I'm just going to enclose this number here, which if you want to, you can just copy it from the Excel spreadsheet. I think it's the first one here. I'm just putting that into parentheses and hitting enter, and what happens? Okay, so it's looking at 1. So this is the X. It's printing the X. And then it says one char is equal to this, mid of Hiram. X is 1 and 1. Now, wait a minute. This should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the string that we're putting into it. This is -697. Now, wait a minute. Where'd that come from? I don't think that's right. We've got X is equal to 1 to the length of Hiram. 1, 2. In fact, let me do this. Let me do a stop right here. Something doesn't feel right here. 1 is, okay, 1. Length of Hiram is 6. Why is Hiram 6? Oh, I think I need quotes. I think it was doing the math. Does that make sense? I think it was treating those as numbers, and then it was putting the numbers and giving me back the numbers. So you have to put that in double quotes. Once you put this in double quotes, it's like, oh, you're talking about the string. You want this as a string, not as a mathematical equation. So now X is 1, the first number is 9, right? I can hit play again. and we got 2 and 8. So I can take out my stop. I can play this all the way. And let me run it one more time because I think I messed up some numbers. There it is. We've got 1 is 9, 8, 9, dash 2, 8, dash 7, 9, dash 7, 0, 5, 9, 7, dash 8. That's it. We did it. So we've got 17 characters in that string. You're getting errors. Let's see. Anybody got it? Yeah, you got the quoted. 4 without next, so you need a next. So you can replace the stop with next and then try that one. Francis? Working on it? Wells? Oh yeah. Integer.
Yeah, what how that's supposed to be.
Integer.
And then I just run the whole thing, or am I just?
Yeah, you gotta run that one to run it. Hit enter. There you go. Nice. I got that. Good job. Jamie, how's it coming? Nice. Now you can just take out the stop because that looks right.
Oh, okay.
And then you can just keep hitting play. And it will do all the rest. You got it. Very good. So there's your X and there's your numbers for each one of those. Goes through the whole number and then it prints the whole thing at the end. Nice. Yeah.
I think mine's right
Okay, right. So you already dimmed the one char up here.
here.
So take out the dim on this line.
Oh, take it.
You can leave the rest, but just take that one out. Yeah. And now it's inside the loop. You're doing one char as that. You're debugging, printing. Yeah, that looks great.
All right.
Let's
Awesome.
try that.
Right. Should I have
So
the stop here?
no, you can take it out.
Alright.
I don't think you need it.
And so I just run.
Now it's going to ask you to run, but you don't have that because you have to pass it data. So exit out of that one and
I
then
have to
come
go
up
in-
to your immediate window.
Like this here, and then I have to go like equal with one of this.
That's one way to do it, like numbers only, and then
Mhm.
anchor one of these. You could do that, but if you do it in the immediate window up here, then you can kind of see it all trickle down up there.
Okay, I get you.
Yeah, put it inside quotes up there. And then that will return it. You can just do Control A and then delete everything inside that window.
And then
Yeah.
I'll go. Upside down.
No, just question mark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I was like, that's numbers.
Yeah. And then you have to have the quotes around it.
Okay, thank you.
And let's see if that works.
Just press run.
And then do enter. So go to the end of that line, hit enter. Oh, okay, yeah. So click OK there. It says, wait, I don't know what that is. So we changed this one right there, the data. We changed that to highlight.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. 'Cause it's,
And then
yeah,
it'll
I
be
get
like,
that.
oh, yeah. And it'll stop to, it says, okay, and then try enter again. Yeah.
There we go.
There it is.
Okay, nice.
Nailed it.
Awesome.
So the X is over here. So we got 1 through 17. So that's the X. It's like the number of the
Yeah.
character. And then on the right side, you've got all the numbers right there.
Awesome.
Looks great.
Thank you so much.
Nice. Nice job. Okay, great. So now what we can do is we can do some manipulation of this. So now that we actually have a loop that goes through each one of these, let's do this. Let us, instead of just debugging printing this one char, I'm going to comment that out so it turns green. Let's do this. Let's say if is numeric. There's a function called is numeric one char. If this is true, then let's say then let's keep it. And let's go ahead and create a temp. Here's a temp variable. I'm going to come back up here and create a dim temp as string. And this will be like a temporary variable. So let's say if this is a number, I want to keep it in a temp string. So I'll say temp is equal to temp and 1 char. I'm saying add it to my temp variable. Does that make sense? So if this character is a number, if that's true, then add it to my temp variable. Take that 1 character and add it to my temp variable. So it's going to go through this loop and it's going to check each one of these numbers, 989 dash 28, etc. When it gets to this dash right here, it's going to say, no, that's not a number. And so it's not going to run this code, right? It's going to skip over this because it's not true, right? So it's going to check each character to see if it's a number. If it is a number, then it's going to add it to the temp variable. If it's not a number, then it doesn't add it to the temp variable. It's not going to run this part of the code.
What is the temp?
Yeah, very good. The temp is what we're going to send back out as the output of this numbers function, right? So what I can do down here is I can say numbers only is equal to, instead of Hiram, it's going to be equal to temp. How about that? So let me do this. Let me just show this one at a time. I'll add a stop here just so we can see what's happening. I'll come back up to my immediate window and I'll say numbers only. I'll put in this number in double quotes. I'll hit enter and it's stopped. So now I can come here and say, okay, wait a minute. What is 1 char? 1 char is 9. So that's the first number that is numeric. So what is temp? 9. Okay, very good. So it is, since it's a number, it took that character 9 and put it into temp. All right. If I hit play again, it's run through this again. What is 1 char? 1 char is now 8, which is the second number, right? 9, 8. And what is temp? Temp is 9, 8. So we're simply adding the characters back into this temporary variable in this loop. And at the end of this loop and end of this function, it should return just the numbers once we're done with this function. So for example, I can comment this out, I can play it all, and there it is. We have just extracted just the numbers using this function. I can come in here, back to Excel, and I can say equals numbers only, and I can reference any one of these up here. And I hit enter, and it will give me just the numbers of whichever cell I'm referencing. Not bad. Not bad at all. How are we doing? Pretty good? Carson? Nice. Wells? How's it coming? It's working. Excellent. Did you get it? Oh no. Ouch. You lost it all? Yeah, that's right. It's a good reminder to save.
That is bad.
Oh, good question. If yours is blank, probably what that means is the numbers only is not returning temp, it's returning Hiram. Do you have numbers only equals temp? Oh, do you? And do you have temp are you adding the character to the temp? Temp is one character, temp.
What I had to do is I had to actually run the function somewhere else. Not
Yeah, no, I don't think you've set up temp yet. So you need to dim temp as well. Oh. Yeah. As string, try that, see if that works. You had to run it somewhere else? Yeah, now see, that's not the sub. So if you click on play again, to bring it up, notice the function is not listed there. Only the sub is listed there.
Yeah.
because it requires input into the function. And you can't provide input to the function using this menu. So one way is to either use the immediate window. You could either type it in up here, question mark numbers only, or you can come into Excel and do numbers only and reference it that way. Does that make sense? Okay, good.
Give me 0, but it works on your comments, but not Excel.
Oh, it works in immediate window,
Yeah,
but not in Excel?
yeah, this will give me like. Then I'll reference this one and it'll give me like 0.
890. Oh, interesting.
And I'm gonna show you.
Numbers only. Yeah, it seems like it's returning a numeric value instead of string.
Get back.
Oh, that's weird. You can move around, but you can't. Oh, it's still running.
That's why I wasn't.
Maybe that was right. Yeah, try it again. There you go. Nice. Did you really use it all? Use it all, Sam?
No, it's back, please. I'll do it.
The source of this file is untrusted. I think you have to go. Did you unblock it?
I didn't need to. Wait, I think. Those-
Save your changes. Do you want to save your file?
Um,
Properties. Yeah, and then click on the unblock. Perfect. Yeah, try that. I'm sure. How's it going, Jamie?
But like in the immediate window, every time I do like this question mark temp, I think it just always returns the whole set.
Oh, interesting. So I think that's coming from the sub up above. Is that true? Yeah. So you're still debug printing those. So that's actually not coming from this function. It's coming from the other sub.
And then the
This one you can either do here in the media window, or you can do it in Excel. So go pull up your Excel and you can just type in the name of that function. Yeah, right there, which is numbers only. Nice. That looks like it's working, right? Because you're no dashes. Yeah, 95. Nice. Okay, great. Now you just need double quotes in between.
Oh.
Yes. Because the double quotes will say this is actually a string, not a number. There it is. Got it. Okay, nice. Good job. So we've done that part. We've reduced or taken out all of the dashes. Let's do this same kind of thing for the tags. So we have these tags in this column, and we want to take out these I tags. So let's do that. Let's create another sub. Let's do another function rather. I'll come down here. We'll do function strip tags. I'll do one name, and let's send it another Hiram string. Hiram as string. This will be our input to this function. And then the output will also be string, because we want to capture the title in the string. Okay, great. And to do this, we'll do some of the similar things we've done before. Let me create some space so I can bring this up to the top a little bit. Let me close this out so we can see maybe a little bit better. Okay, great. Function strip tags. Let's create, in some ways, the similar thing. Let's do a x as integer, because we're going to keep track of each character. We'll dim one char as a string. And we'll go ahead and do that one at a time. So we'll do ×1. Let's use a temp as well, a kind of a temporary character as a string to collect it. And then let's build a loop. So we'll do for x is equal to 1, 2, the length of Hiram. And then we need to make sure we do our next, so we don't forget our next in the loop. We'll put that in there as well. And then finally, to return a function, we also need to put at the very bottom, the name of the function, strip tags, is equal to, and we'll do temp, just like we did before, right? So we've set up the basic structure pretty similar to what we've done before. We're creating some variables. We're creating a loop. We're going to go through each character of each of these cells. And then at the end, we're going to create a temp variable that collects what we need. And that's what we're going to return to this function. So if I typed in the function here in Excel, it would show up. There's strip tags right there. And if I reference some cell, in fact, let me do this over here in this column, just so we have a little bit of separation here. Equals strip tags. And I reference this cell, what is it going to return? Nothing, because we haven't done anything to temp, right? All we've done is we created temp here, but we haven't done anything to it. So temp is empty, so it's going to return empty. Okay, great. So let's do some, let's try to figure this out. There's a couple different ways to do this. Let's go ahead and start with getting our one char in place inside the for loop. But we're going to take one char is equal to the mid. We're going to extract some middle character from Hiram. We'll start with character number X, because that's kind of our counter through these characters. And we'll just take one character. That's it. Just one character at a time. And then the question is, how do we remove these tags? That's an interesting one. How do we remove these tags and just get out the text? Here's one way to do it. Anybody familiar with ASCII code? Couple? Okay, great. So did we talk about this before? Maybe we did. I can't remember. Long time ago, the beginning of computers, they have a code for each letter in the alphabet, right? And so here's the alphabet. It starts at A, capital A.
Why would you ask that?
You don't have to memorize this number, no.
Okay, well, I don't know what to ask. We're gonna come back to
There's no question on exam that asks you, what is the ASCII code for the letter A? That's a good question. Is it in here? Capital Nya is 209. How about that? Lowercase Nya is 241. Ooh, not bad, right? Not bad. So what I can do here with this ASCII code is I can say, what is the ASCII code for A? 65. And then I can also say, what is the character if the ASCII code is 65? And it says A.
Oh, wait, you have to go back. That's the ASCII code.
Yeah, we could do dash, we could do all the codes, right? Yeah. That is one way to do it. I think at this point, another way to do it is let's say once we're reading from left to right, right? Once we're going into each one of these, we say, what if we say, okay, if the character is a less than sign, right? The very beginning of this, let me zoom in here. If the character is this less than sign, then that's a tag. We recognize that that's a tag, and we are in the tag. And then what if we say, okay, what if it's a greater than sign? Then we know we're done with the tag. How about that? So if we recognize when we're inside the tag, we don't add the character, right? Because simply looking at this I, that's a character, right? We can't just say, is this an alphabetic character? We don't want the I. We want everything in between these tags right there, right? So we can't just say if it's an alphabet, use it because we don't want the I. So let's say if it's an open or if it's a less than sign, less than sign, that's the beginning of the tag. If it's a greater than sign, that's the end of the tag. That way it won't take into account these three and it won't take into account these three and it'll get everything else, which is what we want. So let's do that. Let's come back over here to the code. Let's say if one char is equal to less than, then do something. And then let's do an else if. Else if one char is equal to greater than, then do something else. And if it's neither one of those, do something else, right? This is very similar to what we saw in the midterm exam preparation. Notice we need an end if to match our if statement. Just like for every loop, we have an opening to the loop and an ending to the loop. We have an opening of the function and an end of the function. In this case, we have an opening of the if, I see it, and a closing of the if. So we need to make sure we have our end if that says, oh, okay, you're trying to close this if statement. So if we are in the one char is less than, then let's do this. Let's say we say, let's just recognize that we're in the tag, right? So let's create one more variable up here, and let's do a Boolean variable. Have we done Booleans yet? A Boolean is true or false, right? So I can just come over here and put a comment, true or false. Boolean is named after the mathematician Boole, I think 1700s or something like that, who came up with all this logic of true, 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 false, false, true, true. And so they call this data type a Boolean data type. And all I just want to know is, are we in the tag or are we not in the tag? So I'm going to say true or false for the variable called in tag. Well, one word. So if one char is less than, that means that in tag is equal to true. We're going to set that to true. So I'm going to say in tag is equal to true if one char is less than. Else if one char is greater than, then I'm going to say, okay, now we know that in tag is equal to false because we're outside of that tag. So if one char is less than, in tag is true. Else if one char is greater than, then in tag is false.
Between the greater than less than sign, is that the I? Or
That's it.
in tag?
That's it. And I think it also includes this character as well, right? This is true. Now this is turned off, so we can now.
To get rid of the greater than less than and.
That's right. That's right, because we can't just do three of them because this is 3 long and this is 4 long, right? This is kind of the forward slash that says this is the ending tag that goes with this tag. So we can't just do the number of characters here because they're different. It's going to take out everything inside those tags, everything inside of the less than and the greater than. Okay, great. Very good.
Would it keep the spaces through?
If there was, it will keep the spaces, yeah. It'll keep the spaces. Yeah, in fact, we'll come back to spaces. Okay, great. So what we've done is we've done an if statement, a pretty complex if statement, just like you can have nested if statements in Excel. You can also have nested if statements in VBA. Yeah, that's right. Feel the power. So let's do this. If in tag is equal to false, then let's do something. And let me write my indef as well for this inside if statement, right? So what I'm saying is I'm creating another if statement inside of the else portion of a larger if statement, right? Here's my large if statement, and then I have a second if statement inside of or beneath the else statement of my first if, right? So this is the second if. If in tag is false, what are we going to do? That means we want to keep this text. So let's create this temp. Temp is equal to temp and one character. Give it to me. Let's start to collect these characters. Okay. We can also do an else statement. We can say else. In other words, if the in tag is true, right? Then just debug print it. Let's just debug print whatever that one char is. How about that? Kind of an interesting idea. We're creating one if statement to see whether or not the in tag is true. And then the second if statement is saying, okay, now take an action. If in tag is false, then include it in our temporary variable. If in tag is true, because that's else, that's all we need to say is else, because a Boolean is either going to be true or false, right? There's no other third option. It's either this or this. If in tag is true, I don't want to put it in temp, just print it out in my immediate window, just to know that it's working. Okay, and then notice two end ifs next to each other. A little bit confusing. This end if is talking about this end if. This end if is talking about this if up here, right? So that's okay. We've got two if statements, one's embedded in the other. And then lastly, if our temp works, we're going to send that temp to the strip tags, the name of the function, and that's what it should return. Should we test it? Let's do it. I can just come over here to Excel. I can start to type in strip tags. There's the function that we wrote right there. Custom function. We just wrote that. We can change the name, whatever we want to name it to. And I'll select that. And I say, give me some information. And say, what do I give it to me? I'll give it this. B95. What happens? Whoo! Look at that. Feel the power. Feel the power. Not bad. Okay, how we doing? Pretty good? One more function to go and we're done. One more after this. One more. We can do it. We got plenty of time.
That's not what I was looking at.
Did you do it?
Yeah.
Nice. Elijah? Nice. Hiram?
Yes. I did the first one. I'm
Nice.
still trying to process the nested.
Nested ifs?
ifs.
Yeah. What do you think?
I had to process that a while with Excel before I got it, so I'm just gonna
Great.
have to play around.
Okay. I like that. That's fair. Just kind of play around, tinker, make some changes. They're powerful. They're really powerful. How we doing? Got it? Great. Carson?
Just closed down.
Oh no, just died. Uh-oh. All right. Francis? Where are you at?
Maybe I'm trying to.
Strip tags, B95. Oh, interesting. So let's check B95. Okay, now you got, okay, so you're using data as your string input, right?
Yeah.
So data comes in, and then one to length of data, mid data, one value, if one is less than int tag true, int tag false. Else, if int tag is false, then temp one char. Beautiful. Else debug.print one char. End if next. Strip tags equals temp. Oh, interesting. On the first pass, I don't see mid. Oh, I don't think you need the dot value.
Oh.
I think that's extra. Let me scroll up a little bit. Because that's referring to a cell object. The mid function, yeah, right here. The mid function just extracts that one. Does that make a difference? Okay. Look at that.
Thank you.
We got it. JC? You have a compiler? Oh man, you're amazing. Oh yeah, good question. There's a space right there. So it thinks that, yeah, it thinks that tags is something different. And it turns out. See if that works. Go into that and run that one more time. Like click in there and then hit enter. There it is.
Yeah. So it's literally just the syntax in.
Yeah.
Having that space.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? It's like, oh, you're talking about tags? I don't know what tags is. Right? Great. Well, man, those are the good errors. Okay, so you got a next thing here. Okay, so you're missing an indif. I think you just have one indif. So it's like, I don't know what to do. So you have one indif here, and you have an if statement here, but an if statement here without another indif.
So I need one up here.
They're actually right next to each other. Here, let me scroll down. Yeah, right here. See that? And that is hard, right? Trying to keep your indifs aligned with your if statements is hard. The indentation can help with that a little bit, right? This is indented. These are at the same level, indented from the edge here. I probably do a little bit more spacing for myself just because that helps out. Does that work? Sweet. Okay, great. Let's do one more function. So we're really close. Um, here's a little bit of background. We got 10 minutes. Ooh. Okay, great. We'll copy this code and make some adjustments. Here is an example of some interesting things. If, for example, you guys are familiar with the trim function, like the normal trim function in Excel, right? What does trim do? That's right. It takes out the space. It turns out, if you want to get really technical, there's two kinds of spaces in Excel. Anybody know this?
The regular people's space. Crazy.
Yes. How did you know? That's exactly right. What trim does not take out is called a non-breaking space. It's a different kind of space. It's a weird space. If we take this and take out, it turns out that, let's see, what's the best way to show you? Inside of these cells, there are two different kinds of spaces. And I think it's right here. So if I were to trim this, right, here's the author. Let me just see if I can just trim this and show you what I'm talking about. If I do trim and paste in this text, it gives me a problem. Yeah, I forgot the parentheses. And what would we expect to return after I did this? There would be no spaces here, right? There's no space here after the D. There's two spaces here before the W. See that? One space, two space. When I click on trim here and hit enter, there should be no space, but there is a space. If you can see that, there's still a space there. What this is a non-breaking space. And this isn't uncommon when you're copying, data from a web page. You get some of these non-breaking spaces. We would have found this if we'd played around this for more. I'm just kind of saving us a little bit of time. So the question is, how do we get rid of these weird non-spaces, these weird non-breaking spaces? And let's do it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this function we just created. I'm just going to copy it, select it, copy the whole thing. Control C, come down here, paste it into the bottom. And I need to be careful. I need to rename this function so that the computer doesn't get confused. I'm going to call this super trim. I'm going to create a new function called super trim.
So we copying the last one.
That's right. Yep, just that one last one. Just the strip tags one. Copy paste it, rename it, super trim. What do I also need to do? I need to change the strip tags inside of the function at the end. I also need to rename that, right? Super trim. I need to make sure that I'm referring to this function name to return the value. And what we're going to do is we're going to send this some information. We're going to send it a Hiram string. We're going to do a loop. We're going to walk through this loop one character at a time. But instead of using an if statement, I'm going to use something else completely. So I'm going to delete all of these if, else, else if, all of my if statements. Bye-bye, gone. No more if statements inside of this super trim super trim function. And what I'm going to do instead is called the select case method. So I'll come in here and say select case. And what I'm looking for is a non-breaking space. It turns out that a non-breaking space, I believe the character is 160. The character code is 160. So what I'm going to do is if the ASCII code of one char, and I'm going to say if in case that's 160, then do this. Okay? In other words, this is another approach. This should be one char. This is another approach for an if then statement. This is a different approach. So that's why I'm showing this. I'm saying I'm going to give this multiple cases, multiple options for the ASCII of one char. What is the ASCII of the one char? In the case that it's 160, let's do this. Let's say temp is equal to temp and blank. In other words, I don't want to add that to my temp. So I'm saying temp is equal to temp and blank, right? The double quotes. Don't add it. Avoid that. But what if the case is greater than, if it's greater than 127? If you go back to the ASCII table, and I don't want to get too detailed about this, anything above 127 is extended ASCII codes. And it's kind of weird symbols, right? Not necessarily normal English. So if it's greater than 127, I'm going to say temp is equal to temp and underscore. I'm going to concatenate an underscore. So I'm going to replace it, right? I'm going to replace whatever that character is that's greater than 127. And I'm saying, give me an underscore. If the case is less than 32, and this again is a little bit of ASCII detail, less than 32 is also just some weird symbols, not necessarily English, something like start of text, null character, carriage return, shift out, cancel, escape, right? Some weird ASCII ones. If it's less than 32, then I'm going to say temp is equal to temp and a dash. Let's do a dash. And then finally, I can say case else. For all other cases, what am I going to do? I'm going to add it to my temp. And at the very end, I say end select. And that notifies Excel that I'm done with my select statement. So this is actually a really powerful way to code as well. Instead of having to have 4 or 5 different if statements here, I can make one select case statement. And I can say, look for these 3 particular values, right? In this case, I'm looking for 160 specifically. Don't add anything. If it's anything above 127, add an underscore. If it's anything less than 32, add a hyphen. And if it's not any one of these 3, add it to my temp. And it's going to add it to the temp. And then finally, we'll put the temp in the super trim, and we'll return that to Excel. How about that? So if I wanted to do a super trim, what would that look like? In fact, let's do this. Let me come back to my Excel here and let's put this into Excel. Let's do our numbers only here for this row. Let's do our, what was the one we called it? What was the second? I can't remember the second. Strip tags, that's right. We'll do our strip tags here. Thank you. For this cell. And then for here, we'll do our super trim. And we'll reference the cell right in front of it. Let me see if I can shrink this down a little bit. And what we're going to find is the space between the title and the author is now gone. It's not there. We've taken out that non-breaking space through this super trim function right there. Does that make sense? We have replaced that non-breaking space with a blank. We're not adding anything to that, and it will return that. Does that make sense? Let me see if I can tighten this up a little bit to fit it on one screen. Maybe. How about that? Is that better? There it is. It's all there. We did it. Woo! I'm not going to be here on Wednesday. I'm going to be in Walmart Expedition with some students.
Oh.
Yeah, it is kind of cool. It is
How
kinda
can it be like, I do this for some.
You want to we should read it? What I've done is I've got a video to watch instead of class. I know it's not the same as me. It's probably worse. But if you go to built-in functions for Wednesday's class, there's a video from class and there's a file from class. There's also a video that walks through most of the parse email assignment that's due that day as well. Sound good? So no class Wednesday. Feel free to watch the video. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks, everybody. Good work. Yeah, you bet. Let me put this one back on there so you can see that. Here's that and here's that. Thanks, Houston.
Yep,